On page 83, we also have our two big idea questions. Why are constellations important? And how have various cultures explained the constellation Gemini? We're going to discuss these two questions. Now I want you to write an answer to each of these questions. We'll come back to these questions after we finish our exploration of Gemini. You will have much more to add to your answers. You probably don't know enough to answer these questions completely, but you will by the end of the unit. You can edit your answers as you gain information. It's time for you to preview text features, an area skilled readers do automatically and independently. You're going to look at the title, the pictures and captions, the headings, the margin information, and any maps, charts, graphs, or other visuals to preview the text. Informational text has specific text features that provide clues about the topic and other important information. These text features are listed in the Informational Preview Checklist on page 83, the page that you will preview. You should follow along with a pencil eraser as you preview the text. Let's read the list of text features together. Title, pictures and captions, headings, margin information, maps, charts, and graphs. Let's review how each of these text features helps us improve our reading comprehension. I will read each item in the checklist along with the question. Focus your attention by following along with your pencil eraser as I read. Eyes ready, pointer ready. Let's begin. Title. What clue does it provide about the passage? Pictures and captions. What additional information is added here? Headings. What topics will this text include? Margin information. What vocabulary is important to understand this text? Maps, charts, and graphs. Are additional visuals present that will help me understand? Preview the text using this checklist to create a new reading habit or routine that occurs automatically and independently over time. Eventually, you will preview informational text without using the checklist at all. So I want you to preview the passage and predict what you think you will be reading about. I want you to think about why the author might have written the text and what you think the author's opinions on constellations are. You will have about 5 minutes to preview the text. Turn to page 84 in your student books. You will again rate your word knowledge. The purpose of this activity is to recognize how familiar you are with this unit's key passage vocabulary. Let's look at our vocabulary rating scale again. 0. I have never heard the word before. 1. I have heard the word, but I'm not sure how to use it. 2. I am familiar with the word, but I'm not sure if I know the correct meaning. 3. I know the meaning of the word and can use it correctly in a sentence. I am going to read the list of words on page 84. You will repeat each word after I read it. As you do, I want you to rate your knowledge of each word. Constellation. pattern, ancient, poet, devoted, mortal, expert, brilliant. You've rated your knowledge and talked about what you think the words mean. Now we will discuss the words. Let's read the first word together. Constellation. A constellation is a group of stars that form a shape in the night in the sky. What are stars that form a shape in the night sky? One of the most widely known constellations is Orion. Orion is a group of stars shaped like a hunter. One star in the constellation Ursa Major is the North Star. It is the brightest star in the sky. On clear nights, my friend and I like to lie on a blanket and look for constellations in the sky. What is a constellation made of? Where do we see constellations? Turn to your partner and tell two constellations you have seen in the sky. Let's read the next word together. Pattern. A pattern is a picture, image, or design made by repeated items. What is a picture made by repeated items? The stained glass window was designed in the pattern of a rose. In nature, we see patterns such as leopards, spots, or stripes on a zebra. I have a shirt with a red and white striped pattern on it. Can a pattern make a picture or image? Yes or no? Can one item be a pattern? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and tell how you think the word pattern will be used in the passage Gemini, the twins. Let's read the next word together. Ancient. Ancient means very old. What is something that is very old? The bones from the Jabaria dig were ancient. The bones fossilized in the earth more than 1,000,000 years ago. The ancient tools are displayed in the museum because they are old and fragile. There are ancient myths about people in Greece. These old stories have been passed down for many centuries. Can a building be ancient? Yes or no? Sometimes we say a person is ancient. My teacher is ancient. This is figurative language we use to create an image to say that someone is really, really old. Is a person who is still alive really ancient? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and use ancient in a sentence. Let's read the next word together. Poet. A poet is a person who writes stories in lines with emotion and rhythm. What is a person who writes stories in lines with rhythm? Some poets use alliteration in their poems. They repeat starting sounds. Pete the poet picks particular patterns. An American poet that you might know is Jack Prelutsky. He has written many poems that make people laugh. A poet's writing can be literal. We know exactly what she is imagining and thinking, but sometimes the poem has ideas or symbols that may not be clear to us. Does a poet always make the words rhyme? Yes or no? Is a person who writes mathematical equations necessarily a poet? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and tell a few lines of a poem you know written by your favorite poet. A songwriter is often considered a poet. Let's read the next word together. Devoted. Devoted means loyal or deeply caring. How do we describe people or animals that are loyal? Some people are devoted to the environment. They spend their time and energy on it. They care about it deeply. The teacher was devoted to helping his students with their homework. His devoted grandparents came to every basketball game. They showed how much they cared by not missing one game. Is a mother bear devoted to her cubs until they leave the den? Yes or no? Can a chair be devoted? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and tell something or someone you are devoted to and why. Let's read the next word together. Mortal. Mortal means subject to death or or something that will not live forever. What word do we use to describe someone or something that will die? Humans and animals are mortal. There is a story about a family who drank from a fountain of youth and were no longer mortal. They were immortal. They would never die. When you play video games, your player is usually mortal. When the player dies, the game is sometimes over. Is a person like you and or me mortal or immortal? Are animals mortal? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and tell two things that are mortal and two things that are immortal. Let's read the next word together. Expert. Expert means skilled or knowledgeable. If someone is skilled or knowledgeable about something, what would we use to describe her? Dr. Paul Sereno is an expert paleontologist. He is very skilled at finding dinosaur bones and putting them together. The Olympic team is full of expert gymnasts. At the Olympics, we see expert athletes in many events. Even though my mom isn't a professional, she is an expert chef. Does an expert skier have more skill than normal people? Yes or no? Is a football player an expert ballerina? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and name two expert athletes and two expert musicians. Let's read the last word together. Brilliant. Brilliant has several meanings. The meaning in our story is very bright or gives off lots of light. What is something that gives off lots of light? Polaris, another name for the North Star, is a brilliant star in the sky. Sailors have used this brilliant star to help steer or navigate at sea. The light shining from the lighthouse was brilliant and warned sailors of rocks. Her diamond ring was brilliant. The light was reflecting off the diamond and shining in my eye. Can a lamp be brilliant? Yes or no? Is it usually brilliant inside a deep cave? Yes or no? Turn to your partner and tell how you think brilliant will be used in the passage, Gemini, the twins. Turn to page 85 in your student books. I'm going to go over the key passage vocabulary, or the words to know. In addition to the vocabulary words, there are a few words that you really need to know to understand this passage. Remember means to keep in memory or to recall something. Invented means created or made something from one's own mind. Fascinated means very interested. An idea is a thought or awareness. Hemisphere is half of the globe. God, and notice it's lowercase here, is a being or object believed to have more than natural attributes and powers that requires human worship. Battle is a conflict between armies. Identified means recognized. A square is a rectangle shape with 4 equal sides. Chain means things following each other. Shield is a wide piece of armor held in front of the body. Raging refers to violent anger. Visible means able to be seen. And represents means stands for something. You have previewed the text. Let's discuss some key points before we read. Text features can provide information about text before reading. Often, text features can help readers identify the topic, which is the subject of the passage. What is the topic of this passage? Notice the picture behind the title, Gemini the Twins. Use the picture to predict what the text will be about. What do you see? Scan the headings. What do you notice about two of the headings? Sometimes headings that ask questions can help our comprehension by providing a purpose for reading that section. Headings that are not written as questions can be turned into questions. We will practice this strategy later in this unit. We already discussed the picture on the title page. What other pictures do you see? What do you notice about those pictures? Turn to page 83 in your student books. I want you to follow along as I read the Reading for a Purpose prompts aloud. What is Gemini? How were constellations helpful? Why did the idea of constellations begin? Where can Gemini be seen? What do different cultures say about the Gemini twins? How were Castor and Pollux alike? What constellation is attacking another constellation in the sky? Is the North Star a constellation? Are the twins a constellation? You will learn the answers to these questions reading this passage. This will help provide a focus for your reading as the questions identify the important facts and concepts found within the text. Again, turn to page 85 in your student books. Now it's time to read. I want you to follow along with your eyes and your pencil eraser. Watch the words and use the pencil eraser while the text is read aloud. Your brain likes to detect patterns in words. While the text is being read to you, your brain is hard at work, detecting patterns and making meaning while your eyes are on the text and your eraser tracks the words. Let's review. Where are your eyes while the text is being read? Where is your pencil? Eyes on text, pencil on words. Let's begin. While reading, you should also think about our two big idea questions. Why are constellations important? And how have various cultures explained the constellation Gemini?